I am Cam Rogers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. It's time to get into the latest NFL news and rumors here on the show. And the Bears and Ravens are knee-deep right now in training camp, so some buzz coming out of those respective camps. Jordan Howard, more specifically for Chicago. Is he going to play 3 down? So all you fantasy football players out there, keep an eye on Jordan Howard here. Amid all this Tariq Cohen buzz, head coach Matt Nagy reassured the media that Howard is very much a part of the offense for 2018. Howard rushed for over 1,000 yards in each of his first 2 seasons with the Bears. His 12 100-yard games are tied for most in the league in the most recent 2-year span. Now, you may recall Nagy, new head coach for Chicago, coming on over from the Kansas City Chiefs, of course, where he coached up Kareem Hunt to an incredible year last year for KC. The rookie Kareem Hunt, that is, now entering his 2nd year. Now, with that said, Jordan Howard probably has better competition than what Hunt did last year. Chicago, though, well-equipped on the offensive side, especially when you juxtapose it to 2017. Allen Robinson is in town, Taylor Gabriel, Kevin White. Can he show up? If he can, maybe the Chicago Bears will be a better offense than people really realize. Now, Jordan Howard going to be a big part of this deal here for Chicago. I'll have more on the Bears later in this section about their offense perhaps using more run-pass options for the 2018 season. Eventually, by the way, Tariq Cohen will get his as well. And it also must be noted, like I said, Cohen and Howard are very much closer in talent than compared to like Kareem Hunt and Spencer Ware, or Kareem Hunt and Charkandrick West, friend of the program. So that's kind of the reality of the situation there. All right, folks, you all know about the national anthem debate and the NFLPA versus the NFL, because they are at a standstill in terms of the current policy. It is basically on hold. And President Donald Trump has weighed in on the national anthem discussion over the weekend. And by the way, it's one of his favorite topics, folks. And so we saw this coming, at least I did. So the president tweeted the following recently. The NFL national anthem debate is alive and well again. Can't believe it. Isn't it in contract that players must stand at attention, hand on heart? The $40 million commissioner must now make a stand. First time kneeling, out for a game. Second time kneeling, out for season with no pay. The leader of the free world weighing in on the national anthem debate. Of course, the NFL and NFLPA are currently engaged in these negotiations, if you will, in terms of what is the best policy to actually implement here for the 2018 season as it regards to the national anthem. Now, the NFLPA previously filed a non-injury grievance against the NFL, claiming that the NFL's policy, which it released back in May, infringed upon player rights. And what is the policy? Well, if you don't know, it requires players to stand during the national anthem if you are indeed on the football field, or you have the option to stay in the locker room. And if you want to protest during the anthem, a team faces the fines, and the team can then trickle down those fines to the players themselves. So as of now, there is no rule for a player to be suspended for kneeling during the national anthem, although President Trump clearly is calling for that. But if we believe in the recent reporting here from the likes of the Wall Street Journal and Bleacher Report about President Trump's influence on the NFL, who's to say that eventually there won't be a policy where players will be suspended if they kneel during the national anthem? Because that's the trend that I think we are on, folks. I am speaking upon this from a third-party perspective. I am not taking any certain position here. But the reality of the situation is President Trump scares the NFL owners. And he scares the NFL owners because he makes their pocketbooks lighter. Because he will scare sponsors away, especially if NFL fans out there call for a boycott, right? So in that vein, we're going down a path where these owners are continually kind of feeding into what the President of the United States wants, right? And that is for players to be suspended if they kneel during the national anthem. So we could eventually see that policy actually cemented within the NFL. And I bet you 100% that the NFL and the NFLPA are mentioning President Trump as we stand right now as they go throughout these negotiations, because how can you not? He is probably the most influential person in the United States, outside of maybe Katy Perry, Beyonce, a couple other people. But the president chiming in on an NFL debate here is, number one, unprecedented, because, well, it's really never happened before. And number two, very much something that we should watch for going forward if this trickles into the regular season as well. So for NFL owners out there, I'll tell you what, they are scared bleepless right now about the president weighing in on this national anthem debate. And one of the core questions, as you see it on your screen, is this: do NFL players have the right to protest during the national anthem? Because that's what the players are doing. They are not protesting the national anthem. I want to make that clear. They are protesting during the national anthem. They are using their platforms, if you will, to go out and essentially create a dialogue about social injustice out there. And I also understand the people that are arguing that, and I'm sure they're saying it in the comments section right now, I can't really read them because I'm talking and looking at the camera, saying that you are an employee of the NFL, so in that vein, you should follow what your boss says, right? And I get that. I get that perspective. But NFL players are not, Joe Schmo, the accountant in some random state in the United States, right? NFL players have a platform. They have the ability to create a dialogue. And I think the situation's a little more different, in my opinion. Now, Giants co-owner Steve Tisch recently took a jab at the President of the United States, saying the following, that he has no understanding of why they take a knee or why they're protesting. And maybe that is true, maybe it is not. And there you see the quote on your screen there, the Giants co-owner, who has been very much in the corner of the players and their, I guess, right to kneel during the national anthem. He went on to say, when the new season starts, I hope his priorities, the president's, are not criticizing the NFL and telling owners what to do and what not to do. Now, Tisch also noted that he and the Giants will not be imposing any sort of punishment for the players if they do choose to kneel during the anthem. Now, this is obviously in stark contrast to the reporting from the Associated Press that you guys probably recall from last week, where the Miami Dolphins were ready to implement a team policy that said if a player kneeled during the national anthem, they could be subject to 4-game suspensions. All right, so Stephen Ross, of course, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, who, by the way, was deposed in the Colin Kaepernick grievance case against the National Football League. So there are a lot of layers to all of this, Kaepernick included, too. And so, as Mike Florio once put it on Pro Football Talk, there might not be a solution to all this at the end of the day. And guys, I hate to be the Johnny Raincloud here, but we may never see a solution to this. This may just be, a back and forth as we go forward. It's just the reality of the situation. It's the reality of America. America is the marketplace of ideas. It's all about differential in opinion. And the beauty of this country is that we have so many different opinions. And a lot of times, yeah, they will clash. And I think they will continue to as we discuss this national anthem debate. All right, folks, you're watching the Cam Rogers Show presented by Autolist. If you're looking for a new or used car out there and you're tired of browsing a million sites, go to Autolist.com and browse the largest source of inventory on the web, or download their top-rated mobile app for iPhone or Android today. Be sure to tweet at me about this national anthem debate, guys, because I do like to engage with you guys on social media and, of course, in the comments section, but I can't really track you guys in the comments section as easily. So At Mr. Rogers99, tweet me your thoughts about the anthem debate. I'll be sure to respond and give you guys some love on social media. All right, so let's talk football. Andrew Luck, is he good to go for training camp? Well, it sure sounds like it, according to General Manager Chris Ballard, saying that Luck will be a full go for camp with no limitations. So Luck will take the team starting reps, but also, by the way, will have built-in days off throughout the time. So he will have a structured schedule different than the other starters for the Colts here, and this is obviously positive news for a story that has been negative for quite some time. You know, we kind of believe that maybe Andrew Luck was going to see the football field in 2017. In fact, at this time last year, there was some buzz that, yeah, he was going to return. And then we didn't see him at all. So this news here from Chris Ballard, straight from the mouth of the general manager, is good. So for Luck, he's got a pretty good offensive line in front of him this year. Costanzo at left tackle, you got Jack Newhart at guard, Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, whom the Colts drafted as well. I think he's going to be an elite player in the NFL. So for Andrew Luck here, some good news. While we're on the topic of Colts injuries, Malik Hooker will start training camp on the PUP list, but is expected to be back for the first half of August. Hooker is recovering from an ACL injury sustained early last season. All right, let's stay in the AFC South. Dante Fowler has been suspended one game without pay for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. Fowler will miss the matchup against the New York Giants in Week 1. Probably not a bad game to miss. And then he will return for the New England Patriots in Week 2, a very important game at that. The Patriots, the Vegas favorites to win Super Bowl 53. So Fowler is good to practice during the preseason and play during the preseason as well. So no issues there, just going to miss that first game. All right, next up, Joe Flacco weighs in on the Lamar Jackson debate. And Joe had the best response. See, this is why he's my quarterback, folks. In case you didn't know, I'm a Ravens fan. Joe Flacco said the following on Lamar: I think we're going to win and not hear about it, in regards to questions about Lamar Jackson. So Joe should be feeling the pressure following the Ravens' drafting of Lamar out of Louisville with good reason. Now, throughout Joe's career, he has never felt this kind of pressure, because it's always been Matt Shaw, been Ryan Mallett, and Tyrod Taylor behind him. It's always been the Joe show, if you will, in Baltimore. Now, the argument could be made, Joe Flacco was never really healthy last season because of his back injuries, right? So maybe that was part of the equation in terms of why he struggled in 2017. And for Joe Flacco, this is a make-or-break campaign. Make-or-break campaign for John Harbaugh, too. The Ravens have to make the playoffs this year, guys, or else I think Harbaugh's on the hot seat. Now, who's more elite? Type F for Joe Flacco, type J for Lamar Jackson. Now, you could say that neither of those players are elite, and I understand that. So, in that vein, who is closer to being elite? You better be typing F in the comments section, folks. Joe Flacco is still the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. He's a Super Bowl MVP. I'm sure you can win a couple more rings at that for the Ravens, so keep that in mind. Yes, I am a Ravens fan, but good pieces on that offensive side now. Willie Snead, Michael Crabtree, John Brown, two highly drafted tight ends that better be the best tight ends that ever walked this earth, considering they are two highly drafted players at that position. That is very shallow, by the way. Hayden Hurst, you better be feeling the pressure, my man. So for the Ravens, pressure is the key phrase, I think, as we go throughout training camp, and a lot of players and coaches are indeed feeling it. All right, next up on the list, Bashaud Breeland is still searching for a new team after that whole Carolina Panthers voided deal thing happened with Breeland essentially failing his physical. He's set to visit with Kansas City tomorrow. He's in Oakland as we stand, visiting with the Raiders. So he had originally agreed to a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Panthers before that failed physical. And Breeland, you know, he's going to be a good depth guy, if you will, at the cornerback position. He appeared in 60 games, made 58 starts last year. And if Breeland joins the Raiders, he'd be in a secondary headline by Garyon Conley and Rashad Melvin and Worley as well. It'll be interesting to see where he actually falls on that depth chart there for the Oakland Raiders if he does indeed sign with them. All right, so maybe he never leaves the Bay Area and he signs with them today. We could have that news at some point. All right, next up, Saquon Barkley has signed his deal with the New York Giants. So NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported Barkley's contract is worth $31.2 million and is fully guaranteed. The deal includes a $20.76 million signing bonus with $15 million paid out immediately. He will receive the rest by October. Now, at Penn State, the stats really are just shockingly amazing. 3,843 yards, 43 touchdowns, caught 102 passes as well. Barkley should be a big part of that Giants run game that has been, let's face it, stagnant for many years. Now, Barkley could emerge as that bell cow back for the Giants, so keep that in mind there. The question mark for the Giants, can they block? Of course, they have Nate Solder at left tackle now. They got Will Hernandez out of UTEP. So that left side is looking okay. It's that center and over to the right side portion of that line where I have my concerns. John Jerry, because Weston Richburg is no longer there, by the way. He's with San Francisco. Eric Flowers, he has to step up as well. So for the Giants and for fantasy football players out there, caution yourselves, because the run game may not be as good as you might think with an electric player like Saquon, because you really got to put stock into an offensive line. And if it does not run block effectively, it doesn't really matter who's behind that front five there. So that's why I'm actually, from a quick tangent, a fantasy football perspective here, not really drafting Saquon Barkley, because I just don't know if the Giants can block. And I know he's going to get highly drafted. And I don't know what his ADP is right now. I would assume it is way overpriced, though. All right, so keep that in mind, you fantasy players out there. All right, I mentioned that I will talk more about the Bears. Here it is. The Bears are likely to utilize a lot more run-pass options in the 2018 season. So Peter King has been on site at the Bears camp and is reporting that the Bears will be doing some more RPOs. And Trubisky is a fan. He said it's fun, keeps the defense honest. We saw Nick Foles and Carson Wentz run it last season for the Eagles, playing under Frank Reich, who was a part of the Andy Reid coaching tree, because he was previously with the Chiefs. And guess who else is part of that Andy Reid sort of style? Matt Nagy, who is now the Bears head coach, coming on over from Kansas City. So I think RPOs are a nice little wrinkle in the NFL. And I think they'll have some more longevity to it than, say, what we've seen from the Wildcat with the Dolphins in the NFL or the option in the NFL. Those just don't have longevity. Run-pass options, I think, do, because I think they are more deceptive than the run option or the Wildcat. So I think run-pass options will be really effective for the Chicago Bears, and maybe other teams out there kind of channel that and use that playbook a little more. And I think RPOs are really a good fit for the way in which Mitchell Trubisky plays football. He's a sharpshooter, right? He's an intermediate thrower, a short to intermediate thrower. He's not a guy that's going to bomb it down the field 70 yards week in and week out. It's just not his game. Now, RPOs very much rely on those intermediate and short routes if you choose to throw the football. So RPO is going to be a big-time deal for the Chicago Bears coming up in 2018, so keep that in mind.